Oumuamua,
In 2017, a silent
object.
stranger slipped into our solar system. A cosmic intruder unlike anything astronomers had ever seen.
Where are the aliens? That's
It
one
was
of the
long, narrow, and
Fermi
eerily
paradox
thin-shaped,
questions.
less like a rock and more like a shard of metal, tumbling through the void. They
that we
called
detected
it
in space
Oumuamua,
That has the
a Hawaiian
scientific
word meaning
community
scout or
terrified.
messenger,
have been
and the name
extraterrestrial.
fit almost
Possibly
too well. From the very first sighting, it seemed to carry an air of purpose, as though it wasn't merely drifting,
Oumuamua, which
but
is an
passing
object.
Oumuamua
Telescopes
is less
across
than a
Hawaii.
millimeter thin.
The experts
Arizona
are
and
scrambling
Chile
to
caught
make
its
sense
glint,
of it.
each scan confirming the same impossible detail.
Only this time,
wasn't
it is
behaving
not
like a
alone,
normal
is
asteroid
now
or
back.
comet. Its
An
speed was
unexpected
staggering,
return.
moving far faster
Harnessing
than
solar
gravity alone
radiation
could
to propel
explain,
itself.
That
almost
you
as if it were
believe
being
could-
guided.
But what could this mean?
Some
Who
scientists
could
chalked it
ever
up
have
to
imagined?
outgassing jets of invisible gas pushing it along, but others weren't so sure. A natural object, after all, should
But
look like
very
other
wide,
natural
like a sail.
objects.
When
This one
Oumuamua was
DIDN.
first spotted in
The
October
public followed with rapt
2017,
attention.
How amazing is it that
News
we
outlets
humans have
plastered
a
its
word?
the
strange
first known
cigar-like
interstellar
silhouette across
visitor
front pages.
to our solar system in
Commentators
such
speculated
detail.
endlessly. It an
For
alien
something that
probe?
literally flies
A
between
fragment of
stars
a
and so
shattered
far.
planet?
The answer
Simply
is
a
more
bizarre but
disturbing
natural
than
quirk of
anyone.
the universe?
The experts had no
The debates
idea
turned
what was
heated,
coming.
dividing
But even
experts
then,
into camps,
we couldn't see
one
the
side
full
dismissing
picture.
it as an
Elon
odd rock,
Musk
the
has
other
made a
whispering that
startling
perhaps for the
revelation
first
that
time we
entered
weren't
our
alone.
solar system in
And then,
2017. At
just
the
as
time,
suddenly as it had
everyone
appeared,
was amazed at
Oumuamua
how we
was
got
gone.
to witness. After
Within
all, we never
weeks
even
it had
saw
slipped
it
past
directly.
our instruments, racing back into the black. Humanity was left with only grainy
Could it be
images,
just a one
incomplete
in a
data,
million
and
cosmic
unanswered
event?
questions.
There was far more
Some
to that
sighed in
strange
relief,
object
convinced the
than just
mystery had
rock
faded.
and ice.
Others were left unsatisfied, haunted by the idea
Or is
that
there a
something
more sinister
extraordinary
power
had
at
brushed
play
against
here?
Earth's doorstep
Only data
before
on
vanishing
monitors
forever.
that showed some strange
For
readings.
years.
It was the very
debate
first
cooled.
object.
Oumuamua became a ghost story in scientific circles, a
Oumuamua
fascinating
did not
anomaly,
emit any thermal
archived
signals.
but unresolved.
Some said a
The
comet.
world moved
that had
on,
originated outside
folding the
the solar
incident
system.
into history
Others said
alongside
it was a
strange
fragment
lights
of
in
a
the sky
destroyed planet.
and signals
But
that
the
never
hints
repeated.
were right there.
But the
This
unease
is something that we
never
didn't realize before.
entirely disappeared, because in the quiet corners of astronomy, a lingering thought remained. Objects like this
we'd
don't just
ever
appear
discovered.
once,
It's too
and what
close
no one
for
expected.
comfort.
Its
No one
sudden,
was
silent
sure what
return.
this thing was
It
exactly.
began with a flicker,
as
just
if it were
a
watching,
faint anomaly
noticing,
in the
Or
data
breaking the
stream
sound
from an
barrier.
observatory in
horribly
Hawaii.
wrong.
At first,
and
the
then
technicians
leaving
thought it
for
was
an
noise,
unknown
a glitch in
destination.
the system that would
And they
vanish
also
after
move without
recalibration.
creating an exhaust.
But when the numbers
Because just
stabilized,
recently,
their
Another
stomachs
something
sank.
out there
The trajectory,
blazing into our
the
solar
speed,
system.
even
Elon
the angle of
Musk has made a
approach, all
startling
felt
revelation.
disturbingly
Oumuamua
familiar.
has been
A
detected
name that
again.
had haunted astronomy
Until
since
now, because
2017
astronomers
came
have just
rushing back
detected-
to life.
It's back into our solar system, and this
within
time,
hours.
it is
Confirmation
not alone.
began to pour in
But how
from
is
Chile,
that even
South
possible?
Africa, and even a
Oumuamua
private
was thought to
telescope
be
array
just a
funded in
rock.
part by Musk's Starlink
A
satellites.
fleet of rocks
Each independent
that
scan
it would never
painted the
come
same
anywhere
chilling
near
picture.
us. So how
Something
was it
had
that
re-entered our
that
cosmic
shot out
neighborhood.
of our solar system
But here was
at
the
such a
twist.
trajectory?
This wasn't a
The
solitary
deep space
return.
tracking systems at
There were
SpaceX.
multiple signatures
And more
clustered
importantly,
together, as if a
why
convoy
had
had
it
suddenly
returned,
emerged from the darkness.
making an entry into the
Disbelief
orbits?
was immediate.
The answer is
Scientists
far more chilling than
cross-checked,
you can imagine.
recalculated, and argued
For
late into the night.
Hundreds of millions of years.
Could it be a
billions
swarm of
years.
comets?
It was at the very edge
Asteroids
of our solar
drawn together
system.
by coincidence?
We're moving with
Yet the
Oumuamua
readings told
in
another
a set
story.
formation.
Their
But
paths
instead
were
of there
eerily
just being
synchronized,
one signal,
moving with a
there were
precision.
several. Was
Nature
it a
rarely
coincidence?
affords.
This object
Even
has been
stranger was the
traveling
light
through
itself.
interstellar space.
And in fact,
In
it's not just
2017,
rotating.
Or a
Oumuamua
sign of
reflected
intelligence.
sunlight
They were not
inconsistently,
moving around aimlessly
tumbling like
either.
an odd-shaped
It's
shard.
tumbling.
The smaller
But these new
rocks,
objects
as they
shimmered
were
in
believed
rhythm,
to be at the
glints
time,
that suggested
but the
angles
return
too
of the
sharp.
Oumuamua and
Surfaces
its
too
accompanying
polished.
craft,
Panic
no one
and
was sure at the
fascination
time,
raced side by
was a
side.
concerning development.
Social media
So it's
caught
not just
wind,
it's going end over
hashtags
end,
exploding
but
with
twisting as
theories
it does
before
so.
official
For it to
confirmation
return,
even arrived.
If it were a normal
Amateur
rock.
astronomers
The
posted
slingshot effect
screenshots,
that had
their
accelerated
crude images showing
Oumuamua
faint
out of our
dots
solar
grouped
system,
unnaturally
But
close.
here it was.
For
against
some,
all
it was thrilling the
expectations.
universe opening another
During its
chapter of
first
mystery.
visit, should have
For
meant
others,
it
it was
would be
unsettling,
impossible,
a
and this
reminder
time,
that the unknown
it had brought
could
friends.
arrive without warning.
Right from the get-go,
Bypassing all
experts
defenses,
and the strange
comparisons
speed
to the
boost it got
2017 encounter
when it was at its
only
closest
deepened the
to the
unease.
sun
Back
should have
then,
been our biggest clue
Oumuamua had been
that
one
things
lone
were about to
outlier.
go. They said
Strange,
that the accompanying
yes, but
objects were
fleeting.
fragments started
This
coming
time,
up with
the
possible
phenomenon everyone felt different.
explanations.
with the
The
spacecraft.
sheer number of
You
objects,
just reflect
their
light
deliberate
off it
pacing,
and it's being pushed.
and their
That didn't
trajectory
make
angled
sense
closer
either,
to the inner
even
system
during the first visit
hinted at something
from Oumuamua's shattering.
unprecedented.
Since why would they
By
be
dawn,
able to detect
one
them
reality
this
was
time?
inescapable.
We're the first to detect
This
the
wasn't
sudden
an echo of the
appearance
past,
Oumuamua.
but an escalation. The visitor had returned, and it hadn't come alone. The first voices to respond
we
were
had
measured
failed to
almost
detect
deliberately
them,
calm.
unless they were
NASA
new.
released a
But their perfect
carefully
formation
worded statement
discredited that
acknowledging
theory
the
rather
detections,
quickly.
but
Others
urging
said
patience
these
until more
objects were
data could be
around
gathered.
Oumuamua.
Their tone
Oumuamua's
suggested routine
trajectory
caution,
was
as though
oddly
this was just
precise.
another space
It had
anomaly,
an odd shape,
not the
and
return
did
of a
not even
cosmic
have a
enigma
tail
that
like
had
a
haunted
comet.
scientists for nearly a decade. Yet outside official channels, the conversation was anything but calm. Dr. Avi Loeb, the outspoken Harvard astronomer who had once famously argued that Oumuamua could be artificial, resurfaced in interviews with a hint of vindication. He reminded audiences that he had been ridiculed in 2017 for suggesting the object might be a probe, now he declared, with multiple coordinated objects moving in formation. The possibility of intelligence can no longer be dismissed. His words set social media ablaze, reigniting debates that many thought had been buried with Oumuamua's first departure. Elon Musk, never one to hold back, added fuel to the fire. Within hours, he tweeted, "Not just back. Coordinated. Seen this before. More soon." Cryptic enough to spark panic, direct enough to make headlines. In a follow-up livestream, he hinted that SpaceX's Starlink satellites had been quietly monitoring Oumuamua's trajectory long before the public confirmation. The implication was clear. Musk had access to private streams of data. No. Government had admitted to sharing this, positioning NASA's cautious skepticism against. Musk's bold insinuations created a rift in public perception. To some, Musk was the visionary truth-teller, the disruptor exposing what official institutions were too afraid to admit. To others, he was reckless, amplifying hysteria without evidence. And yet, behind closed doors, leaks began to surface from anonymous trainers, claiming the data didn't add up. Some insisted the trajectories showed micro-adjustments, impossible for random debris. Others whispered that the objects were emitting faint signals no natural body should. The divide grew sharper. Is this a swarm of rocks or a message written across the sky? The experts themselves couldn't agree, and that only deepened the mystery. Because if the brightest minds on Earth couldn't explain what was racing toward us, then what exactly were we really looking at? Almost immediately, the theories began to multiply, some grounded in science, others spiraling into the fantastic. The first explanation, favored by traditional astronomers, was the simplest. Perhaps Oumuamua's return wasn't a return at all, but fragments of other interstellar debris that just happened to resemble its earlier trajectory. Is littered with stray shards of comets and asteroids. Maybe the universe was simply playing a trick, sending us a second act that looked eerily like the first. Yet even this conservative explanation struggled against the data. Natural debris doesn't normally travel in tight formations, nor does it maintains such oddly synchronized spacing. The second theory pushed a little further: rogue interstellar fragments. Broken pieces of a long-dead planet wandering the galaxy together. This fit better, but then why were their surfaces reflecting light in ways that suggested sharp edges and metallic glints? Why did their flight paths seem so deliberate, almost disciplined, as if they were following choreography instead of chance? Then came Musk's boldest claim. These weren't random objects at all, they were probes. He argued that if a civilization were scouting the stars, it would never send just one fragile craft. It would send a fleet capable of cross-communication, redundancy,
he
and
directed
self-repair.
all the resources of SpaceX.
To Musk's followers, the logic was airtight. They pointed to his track record of predicting breakthroughs before the establishment caught up. To his critics, though, it sounded like theater and entrepreneur stoking mystery to keep himself at the center of the cosmic stage. But online, the idea ignited like wildfire. TikTok flooded with edits of grainy telescope footage set to ominous music.
And meet these new
Twitter
arrivals.
hashtags like #TheyAreBack and #Oumuamua fleet trended worldwide. Memes portrayed Earth as a deer frozen in
Elon
headlights,
also wanted to make
staring at a
sure that the
convoy of
probes
cosmic
sent on the
headlights,
mission
barreling toward it. Amid the chaos, Believers and
would be
skeptics
able to
clashed.
facilitate
Each camp convinced the
communication.
other was either blind or hysterical. And lurking at the edges of these debates was a darker whisper. What if this wasn't
was
their
an
first visit?
unprecedented move
Conspiracy
in
forums
history.
resurrected decades of UFO lore, arguing that Oumuamua's 2017 pass
But
had been
here
a
was
test run,
Elon
a probe to
circumventing
gauge
all
our
that.
response.
Never has a private
Others
space
suggested these
agency
objects had
decided
been
to
here
do a
all
mission
along,
like this.
hidden in the vast
When
blind
Oumuamua
spots of
was
our
discovered
instruments.
last October, it was
Watching
tumbling
silently
past
until
the
now,
sun.
the contrast was striking. Cold, measured scientists
they
tried
would
to
have
ground
their
the
answer.
mystery in
Usually,
natural explanations,
they have to go through
while
a lot of
online culture
bureaucracy
spun it into a
just to
storm of
launch a
imagination,
satellite.
fear, and excitement.
At 196,000
Somewhere in the middle,
miles per hour.
ordinary people were left asking the most unsettling question.
Before any
If
government
none of these theories
agency
fit
had a
perfectly,
chance, will
then what
Elon
truth was
be
still
the
hiding
first
in the
person
dark?
to make contact with
Because
aliens?
then, just as speculation reached its boiling point, new data arrived. Data that shattered every existing theory. And that's
The
when
one
the twist
question
came.
on everyone's mind
The
was,
moment that changed everything, it began with a
but
silence
in the
so
meantime,
absolute
world
that
leaders
scientists
were becoming more
almost
and
missed
more
it.
concerned.
For weeks, Oumuamua's return had been tracked with obsessive precision. Its trajectory was clear, its velocity predictable. Without warning,
After
it wasn't.
all, if this
On
was
a Tuesday
indeed
night,
an
deep
alien
space
fleet
radar
on its
arrays
way,
recorded something impossible. The object slowed, not by natural resistance, not by
Oumuamua
gravity,
may be
but
a
by
fully
choice.
operational
Your space
probe
does not forgive such anomalies. And yet here it was,
sent intentionally to Earth
Oumuamua,
vicinity
shifting speed, as though guided by an unseen hand. At first,
by an alien
the data looked
civilization.
corrupted. A few thought the instruments had glitched, a sensor misaligned, a cosmic ray spike. It was as more observatories
who could
confirmed.
say for sure they had
Readings
peaceful
denial
intentions?
gave way to dread. Objects don't just decide to change
Several
course.
military
They obey
personnel
physics,
even
always.
proposed going on
Unless,
the
of
offensive.
course, something
they
or
could
someone
be
is
here
steering
to
them.
wage war,
That
conquer
night,
our species,
Elon Musk broke his silence
or
with a
perhaps
tweet,
to
just 3
enslave
words
us.
wrapped
They
in
wanted
cryptic
to
punctuation.
first find a way to defend
We've seen this
Earth
pattern before. The internet erupted instantly.
before establishing
Pattern.
contact.
Where?
The public was
Was Musk
panicking,
hinting at
and so were
classified
the world
SpaceX
leaders.
telemetry? Or worse, some hidden history no government had ever admitted? Conspiracy channels ignited, speculating connections to everything from UFO sightings to Cold War satellite anomalies.
Since
Musk,
they believed these visitors
infuriatingly,
could pose an
refused to elaborate.
existential risk to humanity.
Meanwhile, inside research labs, the old theories collapsed in real time. Radiation pressure, comet-like outgassing, exotic
These
natural
visitors
physics
could
all,
very well
the
be
explanations
here just to
scientists had
talk,
clung
but
to
for Musk,
during
that was
Oumuamua's first
thinking
visit
too far ahead,
were shredded
too
by this
early.
new maneuver. Whatever was happening, it was deliberate.
Maybe
the leading
to help
voices
us
in
advance
astrophysics,
our own civilization.
people who built careers on logic and skepticism, found themselves stammering on live interviews. For the first time, they had no answers, and yet the most haunting.
we could only
Reactions
know
didn't
by
come from
talking
experts.
with them.
They came from
Said
ordinary people.
Oumuamua did not behave
Parents
like
staring
an
at their
ordinary
children a
asteroid
little longer
or give
that
off
night.
gas like a comet.
Farmers in Nebraska setting down their tools, whispering prayers to empty skies. Online, some mocked it all as overhyped hysteria. While others
And
began
if these
stockpiling
visitors were
supplies,
far more
convinced
advanced
that first
than us,
contact or
any
first
offensive
conflict was
or even
imminent.
defensive measure
Across
may be
cultures and continents,
misinterpreted as an
awe and
act of
terror
war.
danced together, feeding an ancient instinct.
The very
Humanity
act of
had
trying
nearly
to shore
forgotten
up our
the
defenses
fear of being watched. Then came the leak. An anonymous
could end
file
up
posted to an
escalating a
obscure
peaceful
forum
situation
picked up by
to a
Reddit
hostile
within
one.
hours. It claimed to be internal telemetry from a European observatory, showing not
Elon
just
proposed
Oumuamua's
that we
course
should
change,
signal our presence
but
to
something
the
more
fleet
chilling.
peacefully, so that there
A
is
second
no room
object
for
appeared.
error.
to respond to it. And then a third. Their adjustments mirrored one another,
Communication
like a
is the
silent
best
conversation written across the void. 3 points of light separated by millions of kilometers, moving in eerie harmony. As if exchanging
These aliens
signals no
used a
human could
communication
decipher.
method we couldn't
Governments
even
scrambled
detect.
to discredit it. Official spokespeople insisted the leak was fabricated, an elaborate hoax.
Humanity was stunned
But denials
by a new
only fueled
development.
speculation. If these objects were communicating, then Oumuamua was not an isolated visitor. It was part of something larger, something coordinated. And suddenly the question was no longer simply what Oumuamua was. The chilling question echoing through headlines, forums, and midnight conversations became, who might be behind it? It's one thing to see a streak of light in the sky and call it a comet.
A phenomenal discovery.
It's another to admit that what you're looking at
object.
Rather,
may not be
the
natural
experts
at
could
all.
make out
It's
smooth
the crossroads
structures with
humanity
intricate
suddenly
ridges
finds itself
by an
standing on.
advanced civilization
If the objects
and shiny
trailing
surfaces,
Oumuamua are
all the
probes,
doubts
then the
went
question is
away.
immediate
These were
and
clearly
terrifying.
alien ships
Who sent
crafted
them,
with
and
precision. It was
Were
impossible
they dispatched
to
to
determine
scouts
what
the way we
material
send
these were
drones
made
across
of.
uncharted oceans and deserts? Or are they nothing more than cold fragments of rock wandering without purpose? Their strange flight paths simply
But
accidents
the
of physics.
craftsmanship made it clear
The scientists
that
can't
whatever
agree,
it was,
and that uncertainty only deepens the unease. For every expert insisting these are
the
natural
difference
formations,
was night and day.
there's another pointing out their eerie synchronization, how they move as though tethered by invisible strings, how their signals, faint as they are, seem to pulse like a heartbeat. If
Even
they are
the
machines,
smartest minds
then the most
studying
unnerving
images
thought is not that they're out there, it's that they've been watching. How long could Earth have been under observation without anyone realizing it? A century?
in front of
1,000
us
years?
was a civilization
Could civilizations
we had no
far
hope of
older than
competing
ours
with,
have studied
could
us in
not figure
silence,
out how these
waiting for the
spaceships
right
were
moment to
propelling
step forward?
themselves through space.
Elon Musk
Humanity
doesn't
was
seem willing
faced
to
with a
leave that
sobering
question
reality.
unanswered. Within hours of the discovery, he outlined what he called the only rational plan to launch a starship loaded with instruments and satellites directly into the
A
path
new
of the
way to
visitors.
communicate.
His argument
Musk's
was blunt.
plans for peaceful
If they're
communications
probes,
were clearly
they won't
the
wait
best
for
option.
permission.
Massive,
So why should we?
fast-moving visitor to
In
our
his
solar
vision,
system may
fleets of
have been a
SpaceX
probe
satellites
sent
would
by an
blanket the
advanced
upper
alien
atmosphere,
civilization.
scanning every
Elon
angle of the
came up
sky,
with an intuitive
ensuring
solution.
humanity had eyes.
But then the question
on our
arose,
unexpected neighbors.
how do we communicate?
But governments don't
so
move
far,
at the speed of
the
Musk.
alien fleet hadn't emitted
Behind closed
any
doors,
signals.
United Nations called emergency sessions. Military brass whispered of risks, radioactive material,
Hostility was
potential
no longer
contamination,
a thought to be
or worse,
entertained, using
triggering.
radio
A
signals.
response from an intelligence that humanity cannot hope to match. In Washington, in Moscow, in Beijing, the instinct was
With
the
this
same
likely
caution cloaked in
possibility in mind,
secrecy. Monitoring stations buzzed with activity. But official statements spoke only of natural phenomena and further investigation.
Either that was because they
That's
hadn't
the
tried to communicate,
sharp divide at
or
play.
perhaps their method
Musk,
of communication
pushing
was
for
so
action,
advanced
a leap
or
into the
drastically
unknown.
different that we couldn't
While world
even
leaders
detect
cling
it.
to
Think of it
silence,
like humans
afraid of
trying to
provoking what they
communicate
cannot
with
control.
rabbits.
Hell, for the first time in modern history, the debate isn't just political or economic. It's existential. Are we ready for first contact? It's not as individuals, not as nations, but as a species. Because once the truth is revealed, whether these objects are lifeless rocks or emissaries from somewhere beyond, the illusion of solitude will shatter forever. And that is the real weight of this moment. Humanity has always looked at the night sky with wonder. After this, we may look with fear or with hope, but never again with innocence. Whatever happens next. The world will never look at the night sky the same way again. The night sky stretches endless and cold, a canvas of black ink pierced by scattered stars. Around the world, telescopes swivel like searchlights, desperate to hold on to the fleeting traces of something that should not be here. In a dimly lit control room, Elon Musk leans forward, his face lit by the pale glow of monitors. Numbers scroll, signals blur, and then a silence more terrifying than any explosion. Objects that returned with Oumuamua vanish, as if swallowed by the void itself. For a heartbeat, humanity dares to breathe, convinced the danger is past. But then the data shifts against coordinates, suggesting not retreat but approach. The story doesn't end with absence. It bends toward us closer, stranger, and far more deliberate. A scientist whispers words not meant for broadcast. We are no longer alone in the dark. Across social media, fear collides with fascination. Memes of alien ships trend beside serious graphs of orbital decay. Families step outside, craning their necks at the same silent heavens, united by awe, divided by dread. For some, this is destiny proof that our universe teems with intelligence waiting to be found. For others, it is the beginning of a chapter humanity is not ready to read. Cinematically, the image lingers, a single dot in the vast abyss, moving with a precision no comet should have. It taunts us with a choice fear what we don't understand, or embrace the possibility that we were never truly alone. And so the question burns brighter than any star. Is Oumuamua a natural wonder, A cosmic accident drifting across time and space? Or is it the first sign that someone, somewhere, has been watching us all along? Do you think we're witnessing nature or first contact?